Alright. Hello everyone. We're just gonna, not sure how long today's stream is gonna be, but I did say I would try and dedicate some time every week to stream. And what we're gonna do is try and get through at least what remains of day 10. So we're halfway through day 10 at the moment, so we should be able to do that today at least, and that'll set us up. Hopefully I'll be able to get through at least half day 11, so there should only be 2 more streams from here for this playthrough. So this is should be, all things going well, the penultimate Clara stream for this particular playthrough. And who knows, you know, as the years go by, I might return, and we'll see. But for now, we're really closing in on the end here, which I'm looking forward to. It's been a very long time coming. Hey, Blue Voices, how you first? Got the girl boss gun out already. We're in the mood. Let's go. So I don't know if we've got any letters. So yesterday we did the quest from Notkin, or did we? Right, so we did finish today's quest. Yeah, the infected district is the place to search. So we could look for her, but I don't know if we really should. That's right. We read this note last time, didn't we? That she's in one of the houses around the bone stake lot up here. But I don't actually know if it's worth it. What are our resources looking like? Still got a schmouter, 29 lemons, that's the important stuff. Still got a couple of protective things, the gloves are doing alright. Still missing the actual gun though, which is deeply disappointing. Not enough lemons, to be honest. Maybe I should I'll do some abandoned house diving maybe, for a little bit, and see if we can get anything good out of that. Any more lemons? Oh, there's a letter now. Seeking out Burak. I have yet another request to make of you. No doors are closed before you, and no part of the town is unknown to you. Neither bullets nor blades are a threat to you, for no one in the town will dare to attack you. Well, that's not exactly true. Artemi Burak is in danger once again. He is working near the bone stake lot in one of the double houses. You have to warn him the assault may happen any moment from now. So we could do that as well. I suppose we've got sort of 2 quests in the area. Are there any? This is an abandoned district. I kind of prefer to go into the abandoned houses than the plague infected ones. They're very full on, the plague houses in this game. There's a real intensity and sort of claustrophobia to each and every one of them, which didn't really happen for me in the second game. They sort of have this more pervasive dread, but they don't have that immediate impact, I find. Food, $100, data, $50, rent, $600, lemons, $15,000. Someone who's good at the economy, please help me budget this. My family is dying. This robber picked a very bad day. Still somehow managed to kill one of them. See, your problem is you're not spending enough on lemons. Like, just the more you invest in lemons, the better your life will be. That's what I've discovered. So just go all in, basically. Go all in. Alright, so we're gonna try. I feel like I have already done a few of these houses last time. Oh, hello. Any tables or anything to jump on? Sure do. I don't think... Oh, I am safe here. I love my authentic Pathologic playthrough. Teaching everyone the right strategies to play through this game. But no, I always did like the foreboding feeling of the houses in this game, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but the way I like to describe the houses in the original Pathologic. It's sort of akin to like a fever dream of like an extended family member's house. You know, you sort of feel like you can half remember these places, like you've been in them before or something, but it doesn't. Stuff doesn't quite line up how you think it should be. Oh no! Get stuck on the stairs. Oh dear. No, I'm fine. I'm just stuck. I'll kill this person and see if I can get down. They're really trying. Apparently Clara is not feeling it today. There you go. So we got quite a bit of money now. We're sitting in an alright position, but we do want to crack. We do want to make 30 lemons. So that's really the goal for today, is 30 lemons. 30 lemons or bust. Some actual food would be nice too. Tyrene. Do I have any bandages? I don't think I do. No. The drunks haven't been really cooperating. Time to get the lemon ending. I'm excited for the lemon ending. It's been ages since I got it. Just shows everyone sitting around the polyhedron, just their faces slowly contorting as they sadly eat through the pile of lemons that Clara has accumulated. It's probably the best ending from a moral standpoint, right? Alright. I may need to sleep for a while, and then I'm gonna go see if I can track down Burak. Because apparently we need to track him down again. He's always getting himself into mischief. Unironically love Pathologic 1's combat, same. I know a lot of people hate it with a passion, but there's something addictive about the weird blend between the first person CQC and the attempt at realism. There is like, yeah, like you can tell they were really trying to simulate something realistic, but at the same time there's just like almost no realism there whatsoever. Like it's a combination of the confused, janky AI, I think, and the player's own limited options. I mean, the combat is quite simple, right? It's easy to learn, and I think even easier to break in half. But there is something, yeah, weird about seeing a game attempt to nail that. You know, as you say, the realism of like any fight could be your last, while also having enemies who have no idea what they're doing half the time. And yes, as Bevoices said, crouching to punch a rat is also authentic and kind of quaint in a nice way. I think I really like having to do that. It really adds to the danger of the rat itself as your most deadly adversary in this game. A lot of people would disagree it's easy to learn, easy to commit to muscle memory, but a lot of people seem to struggle with it. I think it is really just muscle memory, but I do speak as someone who's played this like an unhealthy amount, like hundreds and hundreds of hours. But there's, you know, it's not that difficult to learn as a system. I was having a conversation with a friend just yesterday actually, and we were discussing Pathologic's approach as an unfun game, and how the combat sort of distorts the power fantasy, right? But I was wondering whether you could say if any of the other games with difficult combat with many different facets also could be considered like the anti-power fantasy. And this is certainly like an anti-power. The example we were using was Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I haven't finished, but they had, and yeah, we were trying to discuss unpack the implications of combat that just wasn't any fun. But Pathologic in the end, I think, has really simple combat, and the enemies are very predictable, I think, which does help. I do get why people hate the robbers in the houses. Those are certainly some of the worst enemy designs in the game. Just because of how fast they move. Let me just check. Bachelor is in danger. He's working one of the small garden to the north. Okay. I don't honest to God say Pathologic's combat is fun, as is the entire game, but I've been told I'm lying when I say that. People get very defensive, I think, when you say you like this. I don't know, when people sort of like, oh, this is actually a really fun game, I don't know what the problem is. And I think a lot of people either expect everyone to think this is supremely unfun and miserable, which, you know, in the first playthrough it is. But I do think once you settle into that understanding of what the game is trying to do, trying to accomplish, I do think it becomes quite fun. It becomes fun to beat the plague, to sort of figure out ways past the enemies, right? Though I get why people prefer Pathologic 2, but I do think all of Icepick Lodge's games are about system mastery, right? And I think the moment you understand the system, I think the moment you can break any game, really. I mean, that's all any game is. Once you learn the system, you start to conquer it, to master it. And when you do that, I think you blow the doors off any game, really. You can exploit basically any game, provided you spend enough time understanding the mechanics. I mean, that's what speedrunning is all about. It's about people who love the game so much that they will find as many ways to subvert its mechanics as possible. And that's not an act of malice against the game. It's you know, an act of real dedication, I think. So I think when you reach a point where you're playing a game and you've actually mastered it, I think that's something really special, personally. It's not a bad thing necessarily to break a game or to distort its purpose by making it easier, because I think you earn that style of play, and it's a shame when people get very defensive about it. So let me just read this. That's the spark for the eventual Pathologic Civil War, to be honest. Half the community is addicted to these games despite hating them. The other half genuinely enjoys them and don't understand what people mean when they call it a pain simulator. I think where I lie is, you know, on the first playthrough of each game, they're totally miserable, really bleak, depressing experiences where nothing is certain and you don't know what's going to happen. And Pathologic 2 retains that experience a little bit more with the randomization on subsequent days. But I think, like, still there's, on subsequent playthroughs, you understand more what the game is asking from you, and therefore you can start to master it. Peak Pathologic experience is chatting casually about game mechanics or chugging drugs and walking through plague clouds. Well, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Combat down to rote for the most part. I still struggle to remember what happens on each day. Yeah, that can happen too. I mean, a lot does happen. It's hard to remember. I think, like, Pathologic 2 has more dramatic fluctuations in the market, right? That's antibiotics. I don't really have anything I want to drop, but I do want the bandages. No, that's alright. I'll let him go this time. It's raining. I don't think I can offer anything else but the soothing sounds of the rain in the game. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's sort of, yeah, like, game mastery is a really interesting question as well. I do feel like a lot of people, I think people who have never seen a game be speedrun before or something like that, I think people get kind of Yes, another hour-long conversation on Rain is coming, but you might have to wait for that. I've got to finish my current hour-long conversation. But yeah, like people who've never seen a game speedrun before, I think they sort of like feel like the player is cheating the game. I've seen comments like that before, that they're not playing the game, as intended, and I think that as intended is really a big pitfall, because how do you prove really what the game designer's intent was? I think when you start to say things like that, it can become really thorny unless the designer has come out and said, I wanted this game to do this and instill this. But I still think to a degree there's this subjectivity even within that. We get like where should I go? I guess other double houses. I mean one of these ones. What was I saying? Like the mastery of the game can mean different things for different players as well. For one person, mastering a game is completing it 100% and then leaving it, never touching it again. And for another person, it's really drilling down into game mechanics or even code and understanding how the game triggers certain events and all these kinds of things. And I do think it's really fascinating that video games can inspire such a level of dedication, that people are still trying to work things out about certain games years and years down the track. Also important to play games you really care about in every manner possible, even if it stretches the mechanics to their limits. Yeah, like, can you really say you've played Morrowind if you've never brewed potions to the point that your attributes reach into the billions? Exactly. People get like really, I think, defensive about the sacred experience. Like, no, you're playing it wrong. You got to play it more thoughtfully than that. And I feel like you got to remember that, hopefully the game that you love and that you're trying to share with people, that you also played in kind of a silly fashion. That it is still, like, at its core a game, and games can be broken, can be abused, can be sort of cheated. All the systems and the algorithms within them have breaking points, have stress limits, and Pathologic is certainly no exception. I think people often underestimate how... People who've never played it, I think, underestimate how easy it is to break. It's got such an intimidating reputation, but I don't know if that reputation is necessarily entirely earned. I mean, it is on the one hand, but I think people take it to an absurd extreme. They say it's, depression simulator or, Russian walking simulator, nothing interesting happens, but I think, those sort of fail to do justice to the game mechanics that are actually functioning. And which house is it going to be? One of these ones? Was it fails to do justice to game mechanics and to the narrative that's being told. Set up a bit. Come on, there's got to be a lemon in here somewhere. Yes, my prayers have been answered. 31 lemons. Can I dodge the plague cloud? Probably not. Nope. Lemon. The most important sacred item in this playthrough is surprisingly not the girl boss gun, but the humble lemon. I don't really know how that happened. Oh. But there's also like there's moments of levity and hope and Pathologic and silliness, right? Like, the rats are annoying, but they're also pretty silly. There's just these things that I guess people who haven't really played the game don't recognise, and I guess that's a problem with the internet in general, isn't it? Not just Pathologic. It's really anything that has sort of been transmitted, you know, to the, I don't know, to a viral status with a video or two on YouTube, and then people don't experience the game any more than that. They just accept that that's where it ends for them, which is also fine, but I do think it's frustrating then for those same people to enter discourse and attempt to make arguments about what the game is or isn't when there's no experience of the game itself. I'll get to that comment in a second. Yeah, first. No. Dang. I tried. Okay. Anything else in here? Yep. I really love the look of these houses here. Is he in one of these ones? I would love to know how they hang out in these houses all day, honestly. Is Burak relaxing in one of these houses with not a care in the world? I'll be sure to do that. Unfortunately, I don't think I've got any fresh fish on me. I might have to nip down to a fish and chip shop or something. Alright. Where does it? Near the bone steak lot and one of the double houses. No, this is the bone steak lot. I thought it would have been in one of these, but oh, does it mean one of these ones? I guess that's technically part of the infected district, is it? Yeah, take your time. Interesting, right. Interesting how the games are described by the people who love them the most in the worst ways possible. I don't know if it's an in-joke or if people just find it funny to scare newcomers off, or if describing it as being painful makes completion of it feel more satisfying. But I'd love to know the psychology behind it. I feel like, to a degree, part of that impulse is plain old, you know, gatekeeping or elitism or whatever you want to call it. You know, I finished this game, look how tough I am, sort of attitude. And that's not everyone, obviously. I think some people genuinely are trying to say, look, if you play this, you're probably not going to enjoy it. This is a really hard game, and there's mechanics that you have to absorb and learn. But yeah, at the same time, I don't know if there needs to be this extreme level of, look out, this game is so dangerous, so difficult, because that drives people away quite significantly, I think. Can I sneak? I don't know if there's any point in sneaking. I might just find a bed or a set of chairs. This might not be good. Uh-oh. I do think, yeah, there's like a sense of satisfaction out of that, to be sure. Where was I? Like a sense of satisfaction to be obtained by saying, look, I finished this really hard game. It was really confronting, really challenging. It's finding a way to still share these games, I think. You know, I would often try and share them with as many people as I knew. And I would make it clear that while it was tricky, as with all things, it can be overcome, can be learned. And I think there's generally just like a level of hostility to a system that doesn't explain itself properly to you, like in a game. People still don't really know how to comprehend that. If there's a system that not only does that, but actively like lies to you, I think people still have trouble also believing characters. Some people have trouble believing characters themselves can lie or can hold opinions that are, oh come on, that are different from their stated verbal opinion. I think there's a desire for characters for everything a character says to be true in both a narrative sense and a mechanical sense. Okay, how am I going to do this one? Not like that. It's going well. If I walk back just a little bit. Yeah. I don't know, what kind of experience do people have like trying to share this game with people that they know? Have you had any experience doing that? Because I do find you just have to couch it in terms of I don't even try. Like I've successfully introduced quite a few people to Pathologic 2, for instance, but I've had much less success introducing them to this game. I think partially because of even just the aesthetic. I think people find the aesthetic overly hostile or overly old or something, when really, in my opinion, it's a real artistic achievement, I think, especially for a development team's first game to create something so it feels like holistically considered. You know, there's a lot to it. The speed for me, the feel of the town is such a neat and specific flavour, and the controls a bit. Yes, yeah. You need all of these elements. Like in game design, it's so interesting how little considered. I think even something like movement speed affects the mood and the atmosphere of the game. But you are right in that the speed can make it pretty tricky to play through. There's this sort of tussle with the game, or with prospective players who are sort of like, oh, now I've got to walk all the way back across town. But I think you can start to find things to see and do, and things to look forward to even on sort of crossing through town. And as the game gets more and more dangerous, travels across town become more and more fraught and require more from you. Yeah, so tried sharing these games with a couple of friends and some family members. Look at me like I'm insane when I try to explain it, or just don't understand what I'm talking about. Right. It's the kind of game I often introduce it to people. I play through a little bit of it with them, so I can sort of temper expectations a bit, or help out here and there. Like, oh no, it's go down a couple more doors or something, or even just like smoothing over the early experience. I think does help people get into it a bit more. And I met someone recently who's only played and loves Classic, never touched 2, and I feel like that's rare. It is rare. Most people, particularly, but I don't want to blame. YouTube or anything. Let me just check what I've bound crouch to. Sneak, left, shift. Right, here we go. I think, yeah, there's a lot of, like, in every video that's made on Pathologic, there's always this, oh, but, you know, you should really play 2 first. And I also do that. I also say that to some people. I say, oh, whoa, how on earth? I also say to people, oh, you probably should play 2 or something if you're having trouble with the idea of the aesthetic, or you prefer your control scheme to be slightly more modern or refined or whatever. But there's still, I've said it many times throughout this playthrough, and I'll say it again, there's still a lot special about this game that 2 doesn't have necessarily, and this is still a really valuable text. This is still a game that deserves to be played and examined and analysed just over and over and over again. And I think it's a shame that 2, in some ways, just because it looks shinier, I think people have this impulse to dismiss it, I think. Seriously? And I can't jump on here, can I? No. It's going well. So I'm very glad you're playing through Clara. I couldn't bring myself to play through all of either campaign to unlock her, because she's really who I want to play, since she's a giant blind spot in my pathologic knowledge. She's worth... I said at the start of this playthrough that I didn't have the fondest memories of Clara, because I'd actually only played her once before I did this playthrough, and Blue Voices will be, you know, ecstatic to hear that yeah, I'm a convert. I don't really know what I was talking about. This is a hugely enjoyable campaign. It is a shame that, yes, like it's not as developed as it could be. There's stuff that probably could have been added, but simply wasn't. Oh, you.
I think I have a fever.
Yeah, good for you.
I hope Aglaya finds a way to preserve the town, if for no other reason than her stubbornness.
So, Bodo's children are an obstacle for you. Well, then it's one or the other. Either you've come to me with kind intentions, or you are my death. If it's the latter, you won't get to me as quickly as you got to them. I didn't kill anyone, surprisingly. But if it's the former, do not harbour hard feelings, for they do not know what they're doing. I want to warn you, Burak, the Bachelor is after you. He'll find you soon, and who knows what will happen to you then. He won't be able to deal with me on his own, but you've offed my companions. I know I haven't. Is he surrounded by henchmen as usual? He is, but they can't strike you, so why would you need them if not to kill them? Why would you warn me? You know full well there aren't many reasons for me to trust you. Aglaya asked me to, Burak. She's worried about you. I see. Go away, Burak. The sooner the better. Remember, I bring good tidings. Okay. Can we sneak back through the house? Doubtful. It's a shame we don't have the ultimate Sabarov apologist here to balance things out. Yet, I'm sure... Oh, I'm sure they'll surface in the comments of the VOD. But yeah, I do think it's understandable why people don't have the same experience with Clara. She is certainly the blind spot, as you say, Lincoln. I think a lot of people either don't play Classic HD in the first place these days, or just totally ignore, like play through one campaign and then just don't get round to playing the others because they think that they're too similar or something like that, which is a shame, because probably part of the reason you know, why Clara is so misunderstood or underrepresented or whatever you want to say. Can I get out of here alive? I feel like her falling down the stairs is causing noise, so maybe I go real slow. The sneaking is... Nope, that didn't work. Back up we go. Help me, Burak, help me. Whoa. I love this game. Server of apologists, I hope you're enjoying this VOD, valuing your presence on this earth. Takes all kinds, doesn't it? This is what Pathologic is all about. This is the authentic experience. But you know, like, I really am, like, I could go on about the texture work all day. I'm sure I have, like, if you go back through the VOD and, like, time the amount of times I've talked about the texture work. But even just, like, looking at something like the tiling, really fascinating. Is the... Oh, the big guy's got to still be alive. The butcher's still got to be alive. But where did he go? Where did he go? Barack, seriously, you're not helpful. You could have called your guys off at any time. Yeah. I love this game. Okay. But yeah, like, the grimy look of the tiles really, really is superb. Okay, what we're gonna do is go back to Aglaya, I suppose, and she's gonna give me a reward. I want to learn how to 3D model similarly to the style used in this game so badly. Something so charming about older 3D game art. I think it's because, like, everything is very... If it's good 3D art, I think everything is very clear. Like, everything sort of pops off the screen in ways that over-detailed characters who can afford to have all these extra polygons, you know, spent on them, who have all kinds of extra baubles and things on their costumes or clothing. You know, I think that's often where modern graphics fall into a trap, is to over-design. Whereas if you even just have a simple character that pops off the screen, I think is much more important than having someone totally over-designed. I mean, the example that comes to mind is a lot of the Tekken characters these days feel very over-designed. I'm trying to, like, Lars from Tekken 8 he has a very busy design, I think, and it gets tricky, particularly in those fast-paced games when you're watching this blur of movement across the screen. If your character is over-designed, then it's hard to tell what they're going to do next, which maybe is the point, I don't know. But the charm of graphics like this is, well, in part, I think nostalgia for a lot of us. Nostalgia helps. But there is this charm, and that charm, that sort of rawness, this raw quality, an attempt to recreate reality in something that clearly isn't reality, I think gives it a really unique feel, really nice style. Please have Schmouder, that would be nice. How about we trade? No, you don't have Schmouder. Guess. Oops, that's not what I want. That. Thanks. Yeah, 3D graphics of this period, I think, evoke something, striving for realism but not being able to achieve it. But where they meet isn't necessarily. Where realism and the graphics meet isn't necessarily in the uncanny valley, particularly for Pathologic. I mean, Pathologic is a really beautiful game. Maybe the character models aren't, but the landscape and the objects and everything is gorgeous. Okay, here we go. Daily Disco Elysium mention. Disco Elysium is the best art of any game, in my opinion, but trying to replicate art that is entirely done in a watercolor, dark expressionist style by an extremely skilled contemporary painter is probably not the most realistic goal to set. No, I mean, I think it's all well and good to say that games need better art or whatever you want to say, but not every artist can produce, or not every game designer can produce art with consistent quality across all of the assets. I know I certainly can't. I'm still really quite terrible, but you know, I'm learning. But it is something you have to be particularly understanding with, I think, in relation to game development, is how difficult it is to actually construct a cohesive world that feels lived in and part of a solid whole. Like the fact that Pathologic's town feels real, I think, is a big part of its attraction. I know there's a temptation for Silent Hill fans as well to want the town to be real, I think, because the designers and the artists did such a great job making the place feel real that we want it to be real, which is part of Pathologic's theme, is that we sort of desire to stay in the character's shoes and to continue playing. Particularly in Pathologic 2, that's really pronounced in the theatre motif, right? Right, I found the Haruspex and warned him like you asked. The part where his beastly bodyguards almost tore me to pieces is, I suppose, too obvious to mention. Won't forget this, girl, you've done a good deed. It goes without saying I'm going to reward you, and from now on trust you a little more. Well, you told me to go out and die the other day, but that's fine, which will in no time reflect the general local attitude towards you. But can I hope that you'll stop hounding and hating me now? If you only knew how sick and tired I am of this already. Some money and some antibiotics. So closest place to stay is Maria's, and I think I fed her some antibiotics the last time, so we'll just go and stay there and try and recover some of our health is the plan. Yeah, it really is an achievement, I think, when a player wants to keep playing a game beyond the game's ending, and I think that's accomplished by making a world that feels just nice to stay in, whatever that niceness looks like, realistic or not. Just a pleasing world. Congratulations on not dying to the death trap I sent you to. I will remember this. +5 friend points. That's what I'm after. Let's sleep. Oh, day 11. Here we go.
The day is over. Your timely efforts allowed your supporters to remain unharmed. A new mime performance is being rehearsed at the theatre.
Oh yeah. So we're going to go to the mime performance. We definitely need something to eat though. Lemons aren't going to cut it. And we've got this wonderful map here. So sort of the polyhedron is the gestation really for something new, the promise of a miracle that is to be born here. So Clara's one, instead of filling in under the town like the blood and whatnot, or as in other campaigns, you do get these moons and stars appear in the sky, so more of a heavenly look, a real focus on the miracle and reaching for the impossible, which is similar, you know, that's a theme in all of their campaigns, but there's obviously a mystical, like astrological bent, as sort of medieval people would often rely on the stars for sort of mystical prophecies and these kinds of things. So that's the kind of background it's drawing on, right? Any letters? It was just as if she was waiting for me, for as soon as my eyes were shut, she appeared before me. They have betrayed me, she said. My faithfuls have given me up. I only have you now, my soul, my inseparable connection. I would have asked you to join me, but I have no notion of where my feet have taken me. Frightened, I fled the theatre. I ran down the stairs and came to a place which seemed hard to stumble upon. I concealed myself there in a small house between the two larger ones. There is no way I can come near the windows, and there is no one here to answer my cries. Find me, come visit me, and comfort me. In return, I will comfort you. So we'll get something to eat, and then we'll do that. The town is, well, there's quite a few clear districts around, but the easy thoroughfare districts, not so pleasant to reach. Yeah, there's a lot about this game that tends to go underappreciated, but I do enjoy comparative looks between Classic and Pathologic 2, because I think there's a lot to be mined about potential intent there, right? Like we can sort of imagine or guess what the intent is, but we can never say with clarity, and we can never say that this is absolutely what they intended to do, which is the trap I was talking about before. And as people start getting into really heated arguments, I think the potential for this this hostility, really, which is frustrating. Have those. That's while I'm wandering through the infected area. So I suppose there's not really any point arguing about intent when we could talk about how the player actually engages with the material, with the text. Intent is kind of a waste of time sometimes.
With dream catching,
Let this play.
illusions have to be let go of in good time.
There is a tricky way to save the specular tower, but there will be casualties. What do you say?
The law demands that we remain silent, as if there's nothing to save but this ridiculous tower.
There is another tricky way. It allows for saving the tower. It also requires a sacrifice to be made. What do you say?
The law is impartial. The choice is yours.
Is there an alternative way to subvert your ridiculously unfair law?
We're just doing our job. Why all the fuss? You've got time. Live some more.
Even if we did know exactly what they intended, I don't think doing unintended things and theorizing on their role is a bad thing. Certainly not. I think we do need that kind of discussion, but I do think people often get tied up in intent, because intent is hard to prove, which is, of course, is what makes talking about art so subjective and so interesting. But some people, I think, or at least I've found in academic circles, will often talk about intent as, this be all and end all, special reveal. You pull the cloth away or pull the paper bag off their head and ta-da! Like, look, here's what it's all about. But art isn't resolved that easily, and conversation isn't resolved that easily. I don't think, and I think it's unfair to impose those kinds of readings on a work of art like that. So fleeing from the theatre, so she's around here somewhere, isn't she? Came down some stairs. She must be in one of these houses. We're gonna get some food first. I don't want to eat the lemons because we're saving those for the lemon ending. Dodge this guy. He didn't even see me. Look at that soldier patrol. This makes me think of an interesting example. Starship Troopers. How do you feel about how people have read it versus the director's intended message? If you know about the recent hubbub, that is. I don't know specifically about the hubbub, but I presume you're referring to people who don't read Starship Troopers as a work of satire and see it as like an endorsement of, say, like fascist or totalitarian, military propaganda. Oh, crackers. Delicious. That's not really going to help. But it's an interesting question. I think satire is particularly interesting vehicle, because it does require, you do need background knowledge, I think, or cultural knowledge to appreciate satire as the person may have intended it. And I don't particularly support. It's all to do really with like the evidence in a text, right? That's what it comes down to. You can make any argument you like about a text, but it comes down to how much evidence can you actually provide for that interpretation. And it's been a long time since I've seen Starship Troopers, but I don't recall it being a particularly subtle work of satire. The metaphors it uses aren't particularly hidden. Someone might correct me on that one. It has been a while since I've watched it. But there's a lot to be said, like, look how obvious a satire this is. It's also tricky when the group, watching it, I think he did sort of mess up if he was trying to portray fascism. Maybe the dude is just more centrist than people think. That's also a relevant point as well, as if the satire doesn't go far enough to representing what the people are actually like, and presents them as infallible heroes or that kind of thing, because then people can very easily take the message, oh, look how cool, look how cool this is. See, this is an endorsement because the characters are cool, and that's sort of that's a bad reading, if you ask me, of any text. The character who looks cool is the good character. He's, it's what's the famous, Watchmen is often famously misread. Alan Moore wrote Rorschach, the detective character, as this, socially maladjusted loner who goes to people's houses and, really severely assaults them to within an inch of their lives. And he's repeatedly described as, unpleasant to be around and all these kinds of things. But he's also got a cool costume, and he's got some cool one-liners, and he's tough, and, he's broody. And there are a number of people who will look at a character like that and will say, well, they must be in the right because the story, the story seems to endorse them in some implicit way. And it's interesting. It's not how I'd like to read a text, but I do think there needs to be, satire does need to be particularly careful in how it presents characters and ideas, because too subtle a satire and you seem to be endorsing the idea present. Too obvious and people probably will just roll their eyes. So satire is particularly difficult to pull off, and it doesn't work for everyone. Certainly doesn't work for everyone. Though I do often enjoy a good satirical article. It's tricky. It really is hard. Trying to think of other misreadings. I wrote an article on my website, or maybe it was a couple of years ago now, but I was talking about this phenomenon of misreadings, and I think it does come down to people simply ignoring the evidence in the text, or refusing to accept arguments from another side, really, that sort of actually do unveil, like, okay, you've got like Bioshock, right? Bioshock is the other big example that is misinterpreted just constantly. Like the people who look at Rapture and say, we should make a city like Rapture. I really like what Andrew Ryan is saying in this game. He's making a lot of sense, but he's saying these things and you're walking through the ruins of his dream. So the text is making an explicit argument. So while he's talking about, oh, you know, you're entitled to the sweat off your, you know, of your brow, every man is entitled to that. While he's talking about this stuff, the city is just absolutely ruined, just completely in tatters. Everyone has gone insane, and there is no civility or morality left in the city. It's just people killing each other for a scrap more of the drug. I forget what it's called, but all these splices, right? These people killing each other, and some people were like, well, you know, like look at what they were able to achieve. They built this big city underwater. You know, it's how cool is that? There's just this. People just miss out, I think, on the evidence in plain sight, and they see what they want to see, and there's nothing you can really do about that. People will always see what they want to see in a text. But it's always more interesting to think about the text. I wish I could take that lemon. To think about the text and to think, okay, so what is this text trying to say? Even if I don't agree with what the text is trying to say, what is the argument the text is presenting? And that's really key, right? You have I think the Legion, that's a great example, yeah, from New Vegas. A good example of people misunderstanding fascism in games due to the way it's presented. The Legion suffers from the same defects that will be their downfall as the real-life Nazis. Most players seem to miss that, even though the game brings your attention to them. Yeah, like, what is it? Everyone says, oh, that the Legion will bring order, right? I think, but the way that the Legion is built around Caesar. It's literally called Caesar's Legion. And how fascism works is that it's got a populist figurehead, but when that figurehead goes, the system that will sort of start to collapse when multiple people probably will try and fill this vacuum at the very least, but people will be scheming and trying to become that populist figure probably all the time. And the game, I know they wanted to do more with the Legion. I think that was one of the things that they didn't talk about or didn't expand upon enough. I think I remember reading somewhere they felt they could have done more with them to make that point clearer. I think because there's no world in which the Legion are the good choice. They're clearly just the evil faction. But it is interesting. People will willfully, I think the lesson to take from all this is that people will willfully ignore the evidence in front of them, which is sadly human trait. People will ignore the evidence in a text, see what they want to see, pick out the points. Oh, the Legion has brought order to Arizona, is that right? They've brought order to Arizona, and they've, you know, there's people crucified, all the criminals are crucified, isn't that great? There's great capital punishment or whatever. If you know, all these arguments people use, and they ignore, you know, the rampant slavery, the misogyny, the brutal raids and killings, all of this kind of thing. Either they ignore it or they simply don't care, and that tells you probably more about the person than it does about the text. Hit one of the biggest nails right in the head. Yep, thank you. Another big problem is the issue of building an economy upon enslaved undesirables. Yes, like the Nazis, the Legion has clearly become dependent upon unpaid labor to the point they can't afford to purge the lesser people, despite their ideology being built upon it, lest their economy collapses entirely. Yeah, so they've created this scapegoat, but they also can't function without the scapegoat. So at some point something will come to a head, and that will also cause the collapse of their system. And I was reading this fascinating article the other day, which was about Age of Empires. And Age of Empires, if for those who've played it, is a great game, but also the way it depicts empires rising and falling. There's no internal, you know, rebellion that causes a collapse. There's nothing. There's no natural disasters or anything like that. The only real way your empire can collapse or be destroyed is if you delete all your buildings yourself, or another empire destroys you. And they were discussing this model and sort of showing how this makes an argument about society, or even misrepresents the sort of the model of the empire and how it functions. And of course, you know, it's a simple game. It's got it was made in 1999, Age of Empires 2 was, and it's got all these other caveats attached to it. But I think it's just interesting to consider a game's rules and systems and look at the argument that it presents, alongside whatever narrative is attached to it. And I think clearly, like, going back to New Vegas, you can see the slaves being wandered around, and if you're playing as a female courier, right, you get the similar feeling of, you know, they're only tolerating you because you're giving them what they want. The moment you cease to become useful, you know, it'll be over. And almost every companion in the game is like driven away by the Legion. So that system in itself reinforces the message, right? That the Legion is this toxic influence. Like Boone leaves, Arcade leaves, I think a bunch of other people leave because you're helping the Legion. And it's actually having mechanical representation of these narrative ideas, I think, that should reinforce it, but often doesn't. People often ignore that because, it's a choice-based game, so it's, it doesn't happen like that every time, but there's still these layers, these systems within the narrative that are actually enabling us to recognize an argument, whoever's argument that may be. We can never be sure, but the game is still formulating this argument, this representation of the world, and it's up to us to interpret that, of course, but it's up to us to pay attention to all the evidence and interpret that as best as possible, right? And New Vegas clearly represents and presents all the problems, or many of the problems with this fascist model, and probably doesn't necessarily go far enough in depicting some of its flaws later on. I think people are often quick to point to endings, probably as validation, and they can sort of make up their own, what happened next, sort of stuff, which is enticing in itself. But you also can't use that. What happened next? I postulate that this happened, so this means the game is an explicit endorsement of, that doesn't work. It's all interesting, for sure. These are interesting discussions to have, but it doesn't work, to my mind, anyway. Alright, so, Commander, I've been rambling on about stuff you've got no idea about. Why are you here? It's very important. Got nothing to say to you. Let's go find this guy. Let's go find Clara, other Clara, I mean. Some of the big issue, the Legion's suppression of women and opposition to modern technology will lead only to stagnation and a severe disadvantage in the economy, military, state apparatus, etc. The upper leadership also consists of the most loyal and ideologically pure members of society, not the most competent. Yeah, Linnaeus' understanding of military strategy is literally just charge the enemy, but people look at Linnaeus and they say, he's got a cool outfit. He's got a cool outfit, and he's got that line, where I'll nail your body to the dam, and you'll be facing west. And people are like, oh, cool, what a badass. But we'll often, like, that's all it takes for a lot of people is the villain looks cool or says something catchy, gets their attention. And that's the easy answer, right? I think that's why people are, I don't want to postulate why people are attracted to fascism in real life, but I think part of it is this sort of easy answer, and I think often the villains in these stories offer these easy answers, and that's why people are attracted to them, are attracted to ignoring the evidence in the satire, which is frustrating, I think. Is that why Daniil wears a kick-ass snakeskin coat and quotes Latin so people think he's cool? Exactly, it's working. As you can see, it worked on me many years ago when when I decided to make my avatar bachelor in his mask, because I thought that was so cool. A lemon. So, like, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but you do have to consider, like, yeah, what exactly a character is saying, and what the text is saying about that character's actions. Just want to be sure before I jump to conclusions. Evidence in that case can come from the creators and artists as well, right? Yes, to a degree. I think you can take on board what the creator intended and add that as weight. But sometimes you can look at a text and then look at what a creator is trying to say about it, and then probably get a bit confused because maybe what they're trying to say doesn't come through in the text, and you can certainly make those kinds of arguments, but it's all down to the amount of evidence that you can get from a text. Morning of the 11th day has come, 7,359 people dead. It all ends tomorrow. Day 11, in which the Changeling realizes the true meaning of her name, and Clara loses the right to exist. So yeah, I thought it was in... I think it would be in here, but maybe I just haven't looked hard enough. Taglines are always interesting. I love the taglines in this game. Where the heck are you? Are you even in here? You think, leave the theatre, ran down the stairs, came to a place which seemed hard to stumble upon. Small house between the two larger ones. There's no way I can come near the windows. No one to answer my cries. Love all the taglines personally. Some are funny in an ironic way, some are foreshadowing events that follow, some are just like, yeah, life kind of sucks right now, but they're all amazing. Absolutely. Maybe this one? Could be this one. Check that one out. No, I think, yeah, it's all down to close analysis of the text, and of course extra information is always helpful, but you need to understand the text itself, I think, and realize how the game mechanics inform the narrative. For instance, if you're looking at a game, before you can make an informed decision about what the game's intended experience is, and whatever you want to call it. So anything? 5 fishhooks. Lucky me. Nothing in there. Bullets for a gun I don't have. Well, I should sell these to like Grief or someone. Not that I really have any need of money. I've transcended beyond the need for money. Drugs. There we go. So she's not in here either. I guess I'll check and see if the commander has got a mission for me now. You stumbled into a place that's hard to stumble upon. House between two bigger houses. The last one it could be is that one. Hello Frankie Lindsay, how you doing? Good to have you here. Speaking of bullets for a gun you don't have, did anyone else just never buy the gun in Pathologic 2? No, I never bought it either. Only on repeat playthroughs till I get all the achievements did I experiment with it. I was never hugely convinced it was necessary. Especially considering it didn't have even the same lethality that it does in the original, where at least in this game it would instantly kill someone if you headshot them, but in the second game it wouldn't. Still nothing for me. Lockpicks are OP in 2, yes they are. There's a lot of stealthy backstabbing you can do for incredibly high damage, if I recall, in 2. This has got to be the place that's hard to stumble upon, doesn't it? Oop. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing 2 at some point. I just playing this, I always feel like I have to dedicate enough time to actually make it worth it, which is never easy for me to ensure I have enough time dedicated to it. 100%. Thanks for actually using all of my mini pills to stave off infection. Nothing in here. But I also want to make sure I've got enough to say about it. I would still like to play Artemy in Classic, but I'm still not sure whether I want to do that before or after I play 2. That's really my big question. I know there are several people who would like to see me. I know there are people who would like to see me play 2. I'm not sure whether I finish this first or not. I thought you said you weren't going to be by the window. You're so sweet, such eyes. They're not like mine at all. You need to leave at once. See, the whole place is infected. You know as well as I do that the infection won't do anything to me. I can't go anywhere now. I'm hated by those who used to love me. They torture me, they burn me and hurl stones at me. I have to hide. Why is it that any place you visit becomes infected? Oh, how is that my fault? I come here because I need a place to hide from those who are out hunting me. They've got fire and steel, their henchmen are ferocious. What do I have to stave them off with? Only this. They're too scared to get closer. Those who've remained faithful to me can't do anything to protect me. Who are those faithful? Simple folk, commoners, outcasts, non-bounds. They've been unafraid of him who's been my only friend all this time, him who's taken the blow for me. They're taking care of him, of this absurd and impossible creature. A living thing made of dead matter. They didn't turn him into a scapegoat for all their sins and murders. I know who you're talking about. It's that albino, the creature from the steppe. She's left the district. So I think that means I can get a reward. Sorry, I'll get to back-to-back marathon both games. Oh yeah, easy. I'll just dedicate an entire day. I can't wait. Spent most of my money on ingredients for the Medril tincture. Lockpicks, lemons and coffee for the stay up all night and rob houses for money instead of sleeping strategy. It is... yeah, it's interesting. So interesting the total moral vacuum that forms. I think when you master a game, I think you stop seeing the game as a moral object. I think maybe that's where people run into problems like what I was talking about before. People stop seeing it as this moral exercise, and instead you just start like chugging coffee and robbing as many houses as you can, because that's the optimal way to play. And I guess it's all down to restraint, obviously, but you can't critique a person's the way that they're playing, because if the person can play like that, I mean, why shouldn't they play like that? My morals go out the window when I start chugging coffee, honestly. So the simulation is accurate to real life. No, it's so interesting. Like the first 2 playthroughs of each game, of each character in each game. I always play very seriously, very considered, and then eventually I will just start, doing insane things like hoarding 67 water bottles and like 35 lemons just because I can. Running a playthrough where you finally have enough money for everything you wanted is fun and a nice change from every other playthrough. It is, and I think it provides a deep sense of satisfaction and catharsis, I think, to beat the game and be able to save everyone. And in Pathologic's case, it kind of does feed into the motif of, you're a person who's repeating and repeating and repeating this experience. And of course, it makes sense that by the third or fourth time you've come back, you're a total master of everything that's going to happen. You know all the twists and turns, and you can manage everything. And I think that's satisfying in itself. But most people do obviously tend to think of the first and second playthroughs as being these kind of sacred experiences, which I do understand. I do understand that impulse. What's the time? Fairly early on. I'm going to see if the Inquisitor's going to give us a nice reward. Just going to go waiting. Does Pathologic reflect life, or does my life reflect Pathologic? Yeah, that's a real philosophical question for you right there. The amount of time we've probably played Pathologic is no doubt affected us in our outlook on life. The only bound that really matters is good old Medrol plus tincture, in my opinion. I do still enjoy the randomness. I think leaving at least some of it up to chance was a really good decision. It does make the plague feel at least a little bit more threatening, especially because they can actually die rather than just be locked in their houses, and you have to like spend like a toll basically of antibiotics to be allowed in to talk to them, which does of course reward good resource management and is a fine gate in and of itself. But actually having them die, I think, is much more narratively impactful and much more mechanically interesting. And in Pathologic 2, that was one of the moves I really respected. This one's still infected, but this one isn't. Actually, randomizer mod for 2 just changes which districts are hit by the plague each day. It's better than nothing, but not particularly different. I think the problem is, as you said before, I don't necessarily remember which districts are going to be hit anyway, so I'm sort of reminded. I sort of don't necessarily feel like it makes that much of a difference. Me walking by the Swivery made me die inside. It's day 11. I don't know. I don't know if I need it. I got enough lemons, right? What else do I need? I think that was a letter from the Saglaya Lilac has installed some kind of a tyranny in the town. She's failed to carry out the task she was entrusted with, so this is from the powers that be. She gave shelter to both of the demons. She has appropriated the fruit of someone else's labour and travestied someone else's accomplishments. As if this is not enough, she acts as if she were a conqueror standing atop the ruins of the town, of the enemy town. This has to be stopped. You should approach her directly and demand an answer, just like she demanded an answer from you. Try it, Clara, don't be afraid. Who knows what may come of this? Well, that's convenient, because we're on our way to ask for money anyway. Look what a good job I did. Okay, we'll save here. See how we do. Hello.
There's little time left, and I still need to do so much.
And why have you come to me? I know all I need to know about you now, Plague Incarnate. I'd like to tell you about a most amazing thing. Really? That's sweet, will you tell me? Not that it matters, of course. We can preserve this town. The army will leave. There won't have to be any destruction. Wait, you're speaking too fast. I have different concerns at the moment. Actually, it's good you're here. Can you run one final errand for me, and then tell me about your decision? The business I have at hand is urgent. What is this? Give this package to kind Bachelor Dankovsky. It says inside that he's been stripped of all authority and is accused of high treason. Should he open it in front of you and ask you what he is to do, advise him to shoot himself. What a jerk you are in this playthrough, Aglaya. I'd forgotten this. Why so? I thought you were friends. What? Friends? No, of course not. The Bachelor has become no less formidable of an enemy of the town than Lady Sandpest. But why? You see, this town is a coherent structure, or, if you like, a living organism. It's both, depending on the observer. It's like a sequence of interconnected organs, or, more exactly still, a clockwork mechanism. See, I like this comparison a lot because, again, we're playing a game, right? So we have all of these mechanisms, these algorithms, sequences. These words, the choice of words, the choice of language here is reinforcing the mechanism, the algorithm in which we are currently playing and reacting to. But as soon as a foreign object is introduced, everything begins to crumble. And this as well, this is what we've been talking about, right? The narrativity of the game, the narrative quality within it is disrupted in a sense by what the player can do, and the immersion can be disrupted by what the player can do, rather than hunkering down and not going into these houses because I can't fight them because I don't have a gun. I'm jumping onto tables and killing them like that. So we, the player, we're the foreign object, right? We're the one crumbling the game mechanics, crumbling the town, the game. What does the Bachelor have to do with it? Bachelor Dankovsky has had the audacity to question this obvious truth. Apparently he intends to destroy the human settlement, that is, the town proper, an administrative and social constituent unit of our country, for the sake of a chimeric abomination. I'm going to stop him. I'm telling you, I know a way to avoid destroying anything that's been constructed here. Whatever, just give me the package to the Bachelor. We'll talk when you come back. Alright, give me the package. I must say, though, that I don't have the slightest idea where he's to be found now. Suppose his new ally is better informed of his plans. What new ally? Who but the iron-toothed General Ashes? The two destroyers now sing in unison. Getting 500,000 people killed is like putting a squiggle on paper to them. Don't worry, I'll find the Bachelor. He's the one that needs to worry, not me. So we're getting some really serious vendettas going. Inquisitor was surprised but still willing to hear me out. In order to secure her friendship, I first need to bring her the head of Bachelor Dankovsky. So this is, I feel like this quest is meant to have quite a significant amount of weight to it, given the Bachelor is probably the first character you played as in this game, so it's sort of everything's coming to a head, really. When you come into town, you make everyone start gossiping. All three of them. Dankovsky is a celebrity, Barak is important likely due to his position. He's his son's father, and Clara is some sort of harbinger. Clara's causes the least amount of rumours, gossip at first. All these townspeople and power players start making moves and plotting, yes. So it's true in a narrative sense as well, that you have all these characters responding to the character, just as much as the world and the gameplay systems respond to the player, which is, I think, why the game functions so well and why people really remember it for being so consistent. Some more pills there. The amazing gravity-defying Molotov man. Cool. I tell you, when I finish Clara's playthrough, I'm gonna miss her melee attack. It is so nice being able to attack cheaply from range. Really breaks everything. And I just like the animation of her just pushing. Just the subtle force being used here. Did they just shoot me? By accident? That was what I was worried about happening. Quickly, bandage. Flesh is so covered in third-degree burns that it's hardened enough to be able to stand on its own, even after death. Cool, so we'll rock up to the commander here. Deconstruction of the world revolves around you. Hero tropes, not even deconstruction, utter obliteration. Yeah, that was the first moment when I realized really potential of video games and why it's worth studying them was mainly thanks to Pathologic and that moment at the train when I first played it back in 2017 or whenever. The moment where the Bachelor has arranged for everyone to leave town and the game shutting you down and saying you can't do this, this is a limit, there's a limit to your actions, and I relished the feeling of the game telling me no, you can't do that, and all of a sudden sort of all bets were off really. If a quest that I spent hours of real time trying to sort out has fallen through, then what other surprises will I be in store for? And having the player character, as I've said probably many times throughout these streams as well, having them be actually vulnerable, having them be fallible is a really important move, because you aren't the center of the world, you're just another player in this game. The other two characters are still acting without you, all these other characters are plotting and lying and scheming around you, and you're having to navigate it through fresh eyes on each playthrough. Nothing is certain, which is the big appeal of Pathologic on the first few playthroughs anyway. Why are you here? I need to see the Bachelor. Is he with you? No, he's not here, and I wouldn't advise you to follow him where he's gone. And where is that? The mutineers have captured some architect, one Andre Stomartin. Your Bachelor took the news to heart and decided to get him out. And where is all that happening, the mutiny? They've seized a cannon and are holding position next to it. All of the mutineers are there now, except the ones who are busy looting. But don't you dare go there, they'll sort it out without you. And what about you? I'm gathering those who've stayed true to their oath. As soon as I restore order among my troops, we'll launch an operation to retake the cannon. I'll personally lead the loyal units. It will be too late, they'll have shot the Bachelor. I have no other choice. I'm in charge of maintaining order, and I have my own orders to follow. Moreover, my intuition is telling me that Bachelor Dankovsky will make it out of here alive. He's not the type to let himself get shot in the head easily. How can you say something like that? Okay, so we gotta go for a wander down to the big cannon, which as I recall didn't go very well for the Bachelor. So Clara, I'm sure, will be able to pull it off, so go down this way. Not getting too shabby at that. And I'll have to relearn it whenever I start Artemis playthrough. Oop. Can't go that way. Pathologic's take on the hero's perspective is incredibly unique, and it's one thing that I love much more in 1 than 2. Seeing the events that happen because of Clara that seemed random as Dankovsky, yes. Seeing the outcomes that were hidden to your last character, talking with people who are uninterested in you before, etc., are all things that make the game for me. Yeah, it's really a special phenomenon, I think. But the thing that gets me about it, about how effective it is that I was inclined to believe or align with the characters that were associated with whoever I was playing as at the time. And I think that's its real masterstroke, is that characters who you loved, you know, even a few hours ago, you know, gameplay-wise, you can now sort of loathe because they're standing in your way or they're misunderstanding your current character's intentions. I think the level of narrative immersion that the game achieves is really sublime. I don't know why I crossed the bridge. Go this way, it's faster. I think there's something special about being able to uncover parts of the narrative, or understand things that happened on a previous playthrough, because you're playing as a different character. I think it adds something to previous playthroughs rather than removes it or undermines your character's previous actions. I think it's something really very special about that. And obviously, yeah, like Pathologic 2 doesn't have that feeling because it only has one playable character, which I think is why a lot of people, myself included, are sort of waiting on the edge of our seats, really. You know, what's going to happen? How are they going to make this work? And are they going to capture that same feeling? Or are they going to go for something else? You know, I was this surreal feeling of 2019 was when Pathologic 2 came out, and I was like, oh, I can't wait for The Bachelor. You know, that'll be soon, right? That'll be soon. Waiting for any news, and then just slowly realised this isn't, not coming anytime soon. So I think the interesting effect that has is that we start to see Pathologic 2 as a different, self-contained text, I think, and it stood that way for 5 years, which is, I think it came out in May 2019, and that's a long time. So when Pathologic 2 is thought of and is remembered, the Bachelor's campaign, whatever shape that takes, will change our opinion potentially of the game quite significantly. Okay. Okay, he's been shot. Who are you? Are you here on an errand? No, I'm Clara. I heal people. Listen, we have a wounded officer. They've taken cover behind those boulders over there, but he's got hit by 2 bullets. He might bleed to death. I'll dress his wounds. Where do you think you're going? Stay here, don't poke out. Reinforcements are on their way. We're going to push them back. Your commander is wounded. There will be no reinforcements. I think it also ties back to my fascination of things that happen in the real world that you'll never see. Yes. People you notice out of the corner of your eye for a fleeting moment when they're walking down the street have their own lives, exactly, that you'll never see. The places you frequent during the day will be totally different at night, and the buildings you can't enter have daily events of their own you can never experience. Pathologic 1 is the only game that truly depicts that, as far as I know. And that's a sublime feeling, isn't it? I think, the realization when you're a kid that other people have the same internal life that you do, maybe that is also part of the significant appeal of this game, is that there are things that you miss out on. The temporality of the game means, by necessity, that you miss out on things and you don't see everything. Blue voices. A lot of Clara's dialogue left me speechless the first time I played through the route, because things finally started clicking into place. Anna's whole backstory becoming clear had me stunned. Yeah, and that's a particularly great example, because I think Clara's bound, as the last group of people you get to really know or understand. They seem the most mysterious, so when you finally get to them and understand their complicated motives that you haven't been sure of for probably two playthroughs by now, it feels like it particularly revelatory. Right, the healing historically hasn't gone very well for me. She just tends to kill them, but oh, we might finally have the correct animation. Finally. Remember the first lot of playthroughs of this, first lot of sessions, not going very well. She would just kill them. I think being able to simulate other characters having internal lives, even if they are just characters predetermined to have their own experiences, scripted experiences, really special. Really, really special. I enjoy walking down the street and staring at people while I try to imagine where they're going. I think, people watching, a lot of writers, people watch. I think that's how you learn to appreciate other human beings, human society. I think it's interesting. It's interesting how people choose to spend their time, and that's how that's what Pathologic illuminates, right? Is how people choose to spend their time. Every playthrough of Pathologic that you watch or that you play through, you will choose to spend time on different things, and that time is finite, and we understand that time is finite. That's part of being a human, and that's what Pathologic simulates and represents. Deftly done. I suppose I shouldn't ask too many questions. Thank you. Are you a Sister of Mercy? And I will ask questions. Will you ask them candidly and without prejudice? I will, just be quick with them, please. I've heard that you've executed an architect, Andres de Martin, a man in a bright raincoat. He had this big motley handkerchief always hanging out of his pocket. You haven't executed anyone. It's what the mutineers do. But perhaps they didn't have enough time. They'd been in the middle of an execution and broke it off when we engaged them. Do you know who I'm talking about? I do. I think he was among the survivors. When the fighting had begun, I saw him with this aide to the Inquisitor, this bachelor. The architect looked pale and was holding his side. The bachelor must have walked him home. You know where that is? Yes. You're in luck. Just yesterday I went there to arrest one of them. They're twin brothers, right? The place is over there by the river, right behind the checkpoint. Thank you. So, gonna go to the studio. The other thing I do like, you'll notice, the game doesn't bother to give you map markers on later days. I don't know how intentional that is, but it does imply that you are supposed to have mastered walking around the town and understanding where to go from at a certain point. One thing too definitely achieves better is the feeling of not having enough time, because most playthroughs you can't complete all the quests. Most of them don't matter to the outcome of the story, so it's not entirely successful either. I guess it depends. Like, if you are a completionist, I think it can make you feel, I don't know, frustrated or something. But you're right. Some of the side quests maybe should have had more marked effect on the story. But I don't know, because yeah, I guess it gets fraught. Again, people sort of complaining, oh, I didn't have time to do everything. This was too hard. I think Icepick Lodge must really struggle to find a balance between a game that challenges people but also doesn't frustrate them overly, so they put it down because it seems unfair. That's their sort of modus operandi, really. But it's tricky. It's very tricky to come up with a game that works on that level, so it's a wonder that they've done it so many times. You can just sit around and ignore a quest, and a courier will bring it to you later. Those jump scares, yeah, horrible. But yeah, there is kind of a, I guess it's tricky. This desire for the player not to miss out on anything, or to, make the player feel doubly certain that they've found everything, or have at least had the opportunity to consider doing something. So that the courier system wasn't a bad method. If I remember correctly, you could ignore like most of the quests. I do remember on one of my last playthroughs of Pathologic 2, I think I did end up doing that just because I was speeding through to get the deal achievement, which was the last one I got, just because it was so blatantly wrong. That and get all the dreams one, because that's also blatantly wrong. Here we go. What's the time? Will we be able to finish this today? That's the question. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how much longer this quest has. Tell you what's probably happened as well. If that item was a physical item. Why have you gone back to the infected district, Andre? Bachelor, why? Can't they be helped? Think of something. Look at this. I have antibiotics. What a genius I am. Up we go. Cool. Look at them all. The utopian gang, all talking at once. Do you think on a first playthrough, the sense of having missed something important is strong enough that missing quests feels consequential? I think that's quite often, it is easy to forget the first playthrough, I think, and the desperate feeling of, oh, maybe I really should have done that. That could have really helped me out.
Sorry, but I have to get back to work.
Utopian boys don't wait for anyone to finish speaking. This video of them all talking to each other, and it's funny from this scene. I should track that down. I've got bad news from the Inquisitor. You've been stripped of your mandate. I think she's decided to get rid of you. So you're the harbinger of my doom. Will you give me some advice on how to escape my well-deserved punishment? So it is well-deserved. The Inquisitor won't forgive me for my treason. The only surprising thing is she found out so soon. I've only just made the decision, and she knows already. That woman is indeed a devil. But in any case, it won't change my decision, even if it costs me my life. And what is your decision? I want to preserve the polyhedron, and I will preserve it, whatever it takes. Why? Because for the first time in human history, a structure has been built which, owing as much to engineering calculation as to a favourable concourse of circumstances, possesses a miraculous capacity for influencing the human consciousness. It can, if you like, store the dreams of children. How is that possible? That's the thing. This tower makes the impossible possible. I didn't believe it either until I saw it for myself, but the fact remains, the children are unanimous in insisting the tower reproduces that very spirit which turns childhood into the happiest time of a human life. If that's true, it's indeed a miracle. Yes! The elusive dream worlds, the magical lands of fantasy, the first loves, the childhood games with their heroic deeds, their sieges and charges, escapes and transfigurations, it condenses them into a nodule of energy inside itself, which, being the creation of a child's fantasy, assumes an independent existence. What does that mean? I don't understand. Yes, this is a dream one can come back to, a fantasy unfolding in front of your eyes, a miracle that can be touched and held. There, inside it, things that are fleeting gifts in ordinary life can be captured. A miracle can't be touched and held, it's the law. I'm asking you for a postponement. I know how to preserve the polyhedron. Everything else will have to be destroyed, but the polyhedron can be saved. Tell Aglaya you haven't found me, and I'll find arguments to convince the commander. He'll let the polyhedron be with a clear conscience. The epidemic won't return if the tower stands. And you can prove it to him? Give me more time, and tomorrow I'll give you a package containing arguments for the commander. Alright, have it your way. I'll tell Aglaya I haven't found you. Wait, and help me get rid of an enemy who's about to present Aglaya with a fateful argument which will leave the commander with no choice but to raise the polyhedron. Who's that? Burak, the Haruspex. Of course it is. He's due to finish some gruesome business today. If he succeeds, he and Aglaya will deceive Block. That is to say, Aglaya will do all the actual deceiving. Burak is a blind tool of hers, just like I was until recently. Why is he dangerous? They'll preserve the toxic town for the sake of saving Aglaya, and raise the polyhedron in order to have a culprit's head to present the powers that be with. They'll say the cause has been eliminated. Find him and stop him. Alright.
It's essential to allow yourself no time to think. That's how you get to heaven. I've had my share of dancing. The curtain falls. How's my brother? Any news on him?
I'm not talking to you, Changeling, and I'll advise my brother against it too. I just need you to tell me a few things about the polyhedron, Andre. You can see for yourself that it's the acme of all human achievement. The tower is no chimera, no oddity, no trick, whatever heartless Daniil might think. It was made for people. It is needed by people. It has no meaning without people. Why the shouting? Why are you so passionate about it? Because he wants to leave it in a void, an icy solitude, like a unique butterfly preserved in formalin, pinned to the step like to a piece of cardboard. No, I don't want that to happen. Who needs a victory like that? Don't despair, Andre. I will be able to change the Bachelor's mind. Yeah.
And yet this structure is miraculous. There'll never be another one like this.
Your eyes are so green. Don't go away, sweet apparition. Stay a while with poor Peter. I've done so much to let people hold on to their daydreams, and I've left none for myself. The spirits fly off before they can even be made out clearly. Who are you, an angel? Or death? I'm an angel. Yes, and as would befit an angel you smell of herbs, the spicy twire and the harsh swivery. What is your name? Call me Clara.
There are fine things, old boy, which are more brilliant when unfinished than when finished too much.
The Bachelor will tell you everything. I can't talk right now. What is it, this polyhedron of yours? Why would I talk about it? What do you know about miracles? You say that you can perform them yourself, that you are yourself a power capable of making miracles an everyday occurrence. Well, others aren't like that. Rarely do we get a chance to make the impossible happen. I want to save your tower. Save it then. Everything's in your hands now. That's why I'm asking you. Much as I'd like to tell you it's inhabited by my fantasies and my dreams, it would be untrue. Children live there, petty, pathetic, malicious, craving to imitate the grown-ups. But the place improves them. It makes them better, and that's why I don't object. Perhaps one day it will harbour someone's dream. What's so bad about the children's dreams? Take a look outside. That's what's bad about them. Every child is capable of crossing over to the other side of reality, but few are able to bring back something beautiful, good, and magical. No, the tower is not for children. It's for lovers, dreamers, and poets. I believe you, Peter. That's a really lovely conversation there. How, you know, what are the children's dreams like? And he just points outside, and of course, narratively, that's this is of course, yeah, children's game, all invented. No gamers allowed. Simple as that. Okay. Just as you do. The gamers are implied. Under which of those three titles, or all of them? The pressure's on now, Frank Lindsay's. Yeah, the world wants to know. Secret fourth category. Ending 4 involves only saving the bound to our gamers. You don't have anything. Did he give me any hint where to go? Maybe I'll go back to the commander and to Aglaya first. Peter would have so many Twitch followers. Absolutely. He'd be a real character. Okay, let's see if Commander's got anything to say. Hello. Nope, nothing to say to you. Keep trucking along then. Streamer builds polyhedron live on Twitch. I would give vent to my hands if it wasn't for these brackets. Andre, classic voice acting. Just the total confusion from the voice actor at the end of that line. I think it's just the like brackets. Like, what the hell, brackets? I love it. They're like, yep. Do we want to do that one again? Sorry, I don't think I quite got that. Nah, we got that. That was perfect. That's exactly what we wanted from that line. Perfect reading. Just genius. Take that. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that one. Yeah, no bad readings, only bad endings. Wise words. Confucius. Good to know. Hello, Inquisitor. What do you want? Nothing except I've cleansed the Skinner district. So she doesn't have anything for me either. Is he still going to be in the abattoir then? If he's going to be in the abattoir, I'll just go through this step, I suppose. Do I have any food? No. I pulled the video up just because I need to hear that line delivery again. So beautiful. It's really something. Just absolutely, just total confusion. Like, the voice actor was like, okay, I think I finally understand this character. I know where this is going. And then just completely derailed by the word brackets. Just back to total confusion. Just perfect. Okay. So we'll truck along to the abattoir or the cemetery and try and find him. I can't remember exactly where he is, to be honest. If the Bachelor said it, it's gone from my brain now for whatever reason. Maybe I should have asked. Maybe the Bachelor had another dialogue tree. Sometimes this game does that. But I think he said something about if he finishes his work at the abattoir, so we'll check the cemetery and the abattoir. Those are the other two places. Go around this fence here. Still the best song in the game. Always a good time walking through the steppe. I imagine I'll probably... we'll see. I don't have enough Schmauder, nor do I think I'll be able to get enough Schmauder. I haven't really been aiming for any of the extra endings this time around, unlike the Bachelor one. So, I mean, depending on how much time I have, we could speed through and see the Clara ending. That could be something that happens today, and then we'll be able to start some new games and that kind of thing, and start Haruspex maybe. But we'll see how much time we have. I have made more progress today than I thought I was going to. I was quite tired when I started, but I seem to have some energy in the tank just from sitting down and actually doing it, which is always refreshing when that happens. Okay, fastest way to go, probably just cross the bridge, I suppose, from here, and then cut up, get to the cemetery, because you can't enter from the far side, you have to enter through that one entrance. I haven't seen Bad Grief in a while. Stop in and say hi to him, maybe. HDR Armada would love nothing more than to provide you with the energy you need to maintain homeostasis and analysis. Two most important things.
Feels like my stitches are popping.
Everybody dies, don't we? Each will die as he's lived. Some will ascend, but down is the only direction for others, eh? Show me what weapons you've got left. Got anything of any... 42,000. Rude. I do like this. There is always hope. There's a similar line that the Bachelor can say to Ava on one of the days, I think, before she goes. I don't need money. Can't afford the girl boss gun, yeah. I've come to rue those words. Where is Smooth Grief? Anything but Smooth Grief. Terrifying. There are some horrors the world does not need to see. It's time now, 1 o'clock. Trucking along. Yeah, I mean, this is in his house, right? That's the other place I should check. Thought just crossed my mind. Could be in his house. You can excuse breaking into the homes of innocent people and beating their fathers to death, but I draw the line at smooth grief. As do we all. Hello.
Just give me more time. There's merely one last puzzle left to crack. The solution will save thousands.
What do you want? Forgot something? Someone wants you dead, Artemi. I love this. I walk where I want. Someone wants you dead, Artemi Burak. Tell me, what do you intend to do now? Are you the harbinger of my death? Well, that won't make me change my plans. I'm going to the abattoir. Foreman Oyen is awaiting me for the final trial. I don't expect to survive it anyway. But you have promised to help, haven't you? Who, me? One of us is an idiot, right? Definitely not me. You've just been here and said you know what trickery the foreman has prepared for me. You've promised you'll be waiting where the foreman will have told me to go and help me defeat him. What did Foreman Oyen tell you yesterday? I want to ask the foreman about the mysteries concealed in the ritual of bovine sacrifice. I feel I have no other way to access those mysteries than by taking the foreman's place. Oyen will not give up his power without a fight. We're going to fight to the death. Do you think Foreman Oyen is one of the bound? Doubtlessly. He's a bad man, isn't he? I suspect he is a double-crossing murderer and usurper. That's why I can wish death upon him with a clear conscience. Don't rush into a fight with him. I'll go to the abattoir and settle your dispute. You change your plans quickly. A short while ago, you were much more bloodthirsty. Look at that wee smile. Every time. It gets me every time. I waste no time. My destiny awaits me at the abattoir. I'm going to face it with an open heart. Wait until the day ends. We'll see each other at the abattoir. I love this. Yeah. Bring Aglaya the head of Bachelor Dankovsky. Bachelor wants Burak's head. Burak says I should bring him the head of the foreman. Just the cycle of... Can you please go kill this guy? Please. This continues. Only in Pathologic. Okay. Traipse our way over there. Did I get some more food? Love asking children to decapitate my enemies for a favour, of course. Always for a favour. So you can rely on Clara to come through, to follow through on any of her promises. Highly trustworthy. Highly trustworthy. Oh, I'm exhausted now too. Yeah, there's this butchery up here. I don't know if I've been there yet. I do need food though. And I don't think lemons are going to cut it. Lemons do not sate my hunger. Put that on a poster or something. Fist shaking. Lemons do not sate my hunger. New merch. Alright, here we go. I feel like I wasn't here, wasn't I? No, I wasn't. Yeah, I'll take a lemon. I don't have many of those. Smoked meat. Egg. I'll just take it all. Clean you out. Thanks. I'll gobble that down. Save it again here. Go see Oyen again. We're going to wander through the abattoir, which is everyone's favourite place. Highly detailed environment. Good AI pathing. Has really everything you could want from an immersive environment. And then yeah, I'm trying to think. So I've got playthroughs of the Fear and Hunger 2 started, Forbidden Siren 2 started. I feel like I do really want to finish Yakuza on stream because that one's been sort of hanging over my head for a while. It feels like I started it and I just stopped and stalled that one many times. So it would be nice to finish that one. So maybe that's what I'll focus on for a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. The other thing I'd like to do is play through the second Sly Cooper or the first Ratchet and Clank as well as sort of goals to stream through. Otherwise, it would probably I'll probably give it at least a month or so before I did start the next Pathologic playthrough, whatever I decide that's going to be, whether that's classic Artemy or new and improved Artemy. Either or. Then there's the question of the Void and Knock Knock as well, which I would like to stream. Just the Void is particularly painful. I'm not very good at it is the problem, so there might be a lot of saving, restarting, or jumping back to earlier saves, because you can sort of soft lock yourself if you're not careful. And I don't necessarily want the stream to be filled with that kind of thing. I think it probably, especially given I don't have much time to stream, I do need to be careful about the games I stream. I bow to thee, mistress. You have come to take my life. I am prepared to sacrifice it. Did you call me mistress? Warden Burak and Oinon Reuben have told me of your miracles. She who can turn the blood of the children of Suok into the blood of Bos Primigenius is worthy of being titled our mistress. So you're prepared to so you're prepared to give your life. Why? If you transform my blood with your hands, I'll part without regret with the life that I have lived and tainted. Let the good that comes out of my death give a meaning to my wasted life. Why do you say so? I say what I say and do what I do because I, Oyen, have failed to perform the right and to carry the burden I took upon myself. I am not worthy of living. Many among the bound will tell you the same. Many? Yes. When they have agreed to give you their blood for transformation into the panacea, the kin will help you put that blood to use. You will have at your disposal the skills of the butchers, of all who know the lines, and the abattoir itself. Suok's womb. Burak will not oppose it. What makes you sure they'll agree? A mistress needs not ask. They have already accepted their fate. Let them serve their lady, the mistress of the humble. If you find several of such bound who won't resent having to give up their meaningless lives, you will create enough vital humans to keep the town alive. Do you agree to take and transform my blood? Yes, if such is your desire. Finally, the lines did meet, the first of the fallen bound ones. That monstrous foreman, who won't hesitate to give his life, has recognized the mistress of the earth in me. He is willing to sacrifice himself for the possibility of a miracle. I can return to Burak now. I have freed the subterranean throne for him. Franklin says, if you were only to do one Haruspex route... there he is, hello. I'd rather you play Pathologic 2. If you were to do both, then Pathologic 2 is obviously a better endpoint. Yeah, that's sort of what I'm still tossing up between, so maybe I'll give it another month to decide and then we'll see. And yes, of course, I'd play through the Marble Nest as well. That's one of my favourite bits of Pathologic in general, and it's often what I show to people. Yeah, I don't know, I don't know why his neck's doing that.
Just give me more time. There's merely one last puzzle left to crack. The solution will save thousands.
Yeah, you said that before. What are you doing here, Spirit? I've talked to the foreman. You need to hear this. He's resigning and will soon hand his powers over to you. Did you make him do it? I'm a mere instrument of fate. Why did he do it? Because everyone has a preordainment to fill. Yours is to preside over the kin. You've turned out to be much more powerful than I thought. Why did you do this? Tell me what you're intending to do, Burak. I must make a blood sacrifice, but I haven't settled on one yet. I don't know who it was meant to be. I must decide. That moment is probably inevitable, and it will come soon. You're a slave of the inevitable, Burak, while I am its mistress. Tell me what your intentions are, and I'll help you. I only want one thing, and that's to heal the town. The destruction of the polyhedron was necessary, seeing as I never hoped I would defeat the foreman. But that wasn't what happened. So what now? I know how to make a panacea out of blood and herbs. The trouble is that the right blood is very rarely found in nature. You shouldn't hate this town. It's beautiful. It hasn't lost its bond with the earth. It combines incompatible things. Different eras linger in it alongside each other. It's a chimera, right? There are no towns like this anymore, and there will hardly ever be again. This is stuff that feels like it was ported straight into the Marble Nest, actually, this particular argument. There's one of the clerks at the desk who talks about this kind of thing, but in a more negative tone, I think. Like, it shouldn't exist. Take heart, I'll give you blood. That is like the blood you seek. Where are you going to get it from? I transform blood with my hands. I'm a miracle worker, Burak. Yes, that sounds true enough, I believe you. What would you have me do? Promise me that when you become head of the kin, you'll help me by creating as much panacea as will be needed to contain the disease. If this will save my town, I hereby agree. Tomorrow I'll be able to back it up with arguments for Aglaya. She must submit a report on the decision reached in order to avoid being executed. Is that so? Yes, so tell Aglaya. Let her in on your plan. I think she'll accept it. Alright, I'll do it. So back we go. My plan will come to fruition. I was capable of taming the demons, even though their hatred for each other remains. Return to Aglaya now. As hard as it would be, I so badly want to know what you think the Void is about. Like, at all. So that one has my thumbs up too. I'm very tempted to do it. I am aware, I like to start a playthrough and then even if it takes me who knows how long, I do like to finish it. So I'm aware that me starting even a playthrough of the Void, I'm just sort of setting myself up for a very long journey. And because I do like to finish what I start and tie up loose ends. There are still projects I've said I want to finish this, and who knows how long ago I've said that, but they're still working away in my mind. I still want to finish those things. I don't want to leave them abandoned. So probably when I start a Void playthrough, know that it might take me some time, but I'm hoping next year I'll be able to spend more time streaming in general, sort of expanding the catalogue of things I play and the amount of time I'm able to stream. Would be really nice. I think there are a lot of games that I want to play and I want to talk about and sort of share with people. A number of those games, you can't access so much anymore. Sort of early PlayStation games and these kinds of things, and I'd like to share them with people and archive them and talk about what I like about them, because I think really when it comes down to it, there's still an element of archival in what I do and what I try to catalogue in these playthroughs. And I know I don't get everything, obviously, but I do try and get most of the important stuff in there, and also just try and document not just my feelings, but documenting everyone in the chat's feelings as well. That there's interest in these games still, and that there's still stuff to talk about and to consider, and stuff that this game does that maybe other games could have done better, and all these kinds of considerations. Like I still haven't finished my 100% Crash Bandicoot playthrough. I still haven't finished 100% Sly 1, all the Master Thief trial things. I still haven't done all those. So there's still stuff to do in these old playthroughs. So it's really just it's a difficult question for me, because I do have such limited time to do it in. So I want to make sure every time I sit down to play something that I make it worthwhile for myself and for everyone watching. I do really appreciate it. Void playthrough in the future gives me something to look forward to watching when I get to the nursing home. Damn right. The parallel between what Adami just said and the clerk on the marble nest makes me think of a question that almost certainly came up years ago. Do you think either Pathologic 1 or Pathologic 2 are better written than the others? Is it just that there's more text in Pathologic 1? Pathologic 1, I think, is better at presenting... I think I've answered this question a few times before, I think, in YouTube comment form. But I think Pathologic 1 is better at presenting the themes of the story, the broad overarching themes. It presents all of these different ideologies, and through the 3 different characters you get a grasp on all of these different ideologies and how they interface with each other and how the town would be changed by these ideologies. But then in Pathologic 2 you actually get characters who you can feel a lot for, particularly the children. The children in Pathologic 1 have very little screen time compared to a lot of the other characters, and they're not particularly compellingly written, I don't think. So I think Pathologic 2 has a much better handle on its characters and what it wants the characters to say. But I think we lose a depth of the world. There are a lot of optional conversations in Pathologic 1, and these optional conversations have a bunch of all these different branches, and you learn more about the world, I think, and sometimes about some of the characters in Pathologic 1 are still great, but I think Pathologic 2 does a better job making you care about these characters. It helps that there's a sense of danger that you could actually lose these characters in a playthrough, that they can actually die. I don't know if you can say that one is better written than the other. I think they both have their own strengths. In my opinion, there's almost no way to quantify good writing. I mean, it's so subjective, right? Yeah. Well, does anyone else have any thoughts on that they'd like to share? The best characters in Pathologic 1 feel more like vessels for the interesting ideas. Yeah, I think that's how I feel as well. You have they're saying all these interesting things, but you're not necessarily connecting with them as a person, other than maybe a couple of exceptions. It's harder to get a grasp on their personality, I think, because there's so much discussion about ideology, and the fact that everyone's really strongly factionally aligned that you're not necessarily, you might forget who said what. The characters that people really remember, people remember Peter, obviously, Andre, Ava, Maria. I remember really strongly Georgie, and then it's sort of below that layer of really well-defined characters for me, things do start to get a bit murkier in terms of actual character development. But it's not to say it's not there and it's not well done. It's just probably harder to see. It's less obvious. It's a good question, Frank Lindsay. Thank you.
Have you met a courier on the way?
Inquisitor Aglaya Lilac, I have a better solution than the one suggested by the Haruspecs and the Bachelor. Now I know it for certain. It all fits. Well, now, say what you have to say, instrument of the law. There's a way to preserve the town. It's hard to believe, but I'm certain of it. The disease will continue to exist too, but it will become completely harmless. It will be tamed, just like smallpox. I'll do this with my hands. I'm going to stay here. We can inoculate people, and people will survive. I don't understand yet. Dr. Rubin has conducted a scientific study. He has ascertained that the plague hasn't killed Simon Kane after all. Simon's blood contained corpuscles that made the disease harmless. When I heal someone with my hands, their blood becomes like that too. So you're going to cure everyone as they get infected? I wonder how you'll manage it with the population of many thousands at this rate of contagion, or the entire country's population if the disease escapes from the town. No, of course I won't be enough. All the more because the blood needs to be predisposed. But there are people with this kind of blood who've agreed to spend themselves entirely on vaccines for everyone else. I'll show them to you tomorrow. So you're saying you'll be able to maintain this this unnatural blend and even create a possibility for, oh my god, its further development through periodic transformation of some townspeople's blood with the subsequent slaughtering of these people after the manner of what was done to Simon? Yes, that's correct. Are you really imagining yourself a miracle worker? I can perform a miracle. No one else can, which is why no one else has thought of the same plan. Everyone believes miracles to be impossible. Another one, Nina was enough. She too used to sing about miracles and ended up turning the town into a pagan altar. You'd like to set up a bloody conveyor line in which you will hold the key position, right? I won't let that happen. But enough. No more of this talk. Why are you so blind? Another obsessed idiot dragging thousands of victims into the very same trap. No, enough. Help me destroy the polyhedron or leave the town at once, or else I'll have you executed. But why destroy when everything can be preserved? It's the powers that be who want to preserve everything. That's the reason there's an epidemic. Who do you think you are? You're no miracle worker. You're an avatar of the sand plague. Do you understand? But instead of acting as an honest instrument of the law, you have stolen the fate of another. So that's why I'm a thief? That's why you're a thief. You're guilty of the theft of your own fate. You were never to try on this halo. It's as absurd as a hangman playing the miraculous rescuer, while the execution is already ongoing. Awesome. Now I understand everything. I'm giving you an hour to leave the town, you little scum. I'm banishing the plague from this place, thereby accomplishing my mission. Out! And don't you dare look for a protector. No one's going to help you now. I like this, where is it? You know, there's the powers that be want to preserve everything. That's the reason there's an epidemic, and of course they want there to be no death, because the implication is, you know, they're kids who've gone to a relative's funeral, I think grandfather's funeral. So they're trying to make a world in which death does not exist. So there's this unnatural quality to what Clara is trying to do. So that's why there's such tension there. This is the end. Aglaya commands me to leave the town at once, but why? What's wrong with my strategy? Is this because my plan answers the goals of the powers that be too well? What kind of an inquisitor is she? She is nothing but a vengeful, malicious imposter. Well, they messed up. It's the idea of like natural law, I think, and this pervasive quality. That's the question that Pathologic is really asking. A town where no death exists. They're trying to set this up, I think. But even in a game, I think it breaks. I mean, death is an essential component of human life and an essential component of storytelling. So I really think that there's this sort of unnatural element to what they're trying to do, and even if it doesn't work, I think the subconscious desire for this, for death in our stories and sadness, discomfort, all these kinds of things comes through. And that's really what I get out of the powers that be being these child characters. That's how I like to interpret it anyway. But you're right, it hasn't worked out very well for them, has it? Might have gone overboard. But I do think often underestimated how morbid children can be. Thought of the Tragedians in Pathologic 2 as the spirits of dead people. Maybe that's part of their imagination. No town of death. People don't die, they just fade into the background. Just rambling, but I'll hit enter. I can relate to that. Oh, it's
I can't wait anymore. I've lost 2/3.
It's a good idea. It's really all about, yeah, like how do we preserve the idea of a person, and the polyhedron is one way, and acting, telling stories is another. Why are you here? The Inquisitor has ordered me to leave the town before the end of today. Why on earth did she do that? I've come up with a way to keep this town intact. All three of its parts, all three towns. The town of beasts, the town of men, and the town of children. But she said that as long as she's alive, that won't happen. And no surprise. So you've defied her plans? I think I have. She's bent on destroying the polyhedron. Yes, and the Bachelor was going to rescue this architect precisely in order to find out whether the tower's brittle groundwork could withstand the bombardment if we had to level the residential areas. I know a way to preserve the town, but I need more time. A day at the very least. Indeed. This once again confirms that I was right about you. This is how a divine messenger would behave. I am your protector. Tell me what you want. I know of a number of people who have already resigned to their impending death. They even believe they deserve it. All they need is to find several volunteers among the bound. How many do you need? 7 at least. I could put not 7, but 77 men at your disposal. No, for one thing, they have to be bound. Not all of these people are the same. These ones have a rare blood type. Go and look for the ones you need then. I'll order my soldiers to defend you, should anyone dare make an attempt at your life. It's a shame that so few have remained loyal, and there'll be even less after we crush the revolt completely. But we will persevere. Afterward, come back to me and tell me if you've been successful. You don't want to destroy the town, do you? No, I don't. I'm prepared to sacrifice my career in order to avoid raising and killing this town. Why? I was born and raised in a town like this one. Firing at it is torture for me, but that isn't the main reason. I'm surprised to hear you talk like that. Everything in this town is precious. This place is symbolic. That which is below has left our world for good, having turned into lifeless bones, into museum pieces. That which is above will never come around again. It's a potential future that I don't want to lose. How do you know? The Haruspex has demonstrated the former to me, and the Bachelor the latter. Written into this town is the destiny of our entire country, and I feel that the Creator is watching me now as I'm making my choice. The part I am to play in the fate of this town will have an effect on the part I am to play in the fate of our country. Everything will be alright. 6 more are needed. So we got to pick 6 other sinners out of our list to save the town. So we can pick... Who we got on our list here? So we'll do this. Bad Grief, Reuben, Yulia. We got the Sabarovs. Yeah. Always more layers, yeah. Always more to think about. Stick some of these. Got a lot of meters up there on the side of the screen. Egg. Decimated rat. I do like you actually have to weigh who you think should be the one to sacrifice their life.
Was it a month ago? I can't remember.
So Clara, in this moment, fulfills the role that was forecast for her as the harbinger of death, but also attempts to change that same fate into something positive. So Lara, listen to me. I am the harbinger of your death. You can choose what it will be like. What, do I have to pack my things? I'm going to be executed, right? No, Lara. No one wants you to die, not even I, but it can't be avoided. Will you agree to sacrifice yourself for the people's sake and be glorified as a champion of faith? Yes, that is exactly how I'd like to die. Perhaps it will further convince people of our family's nobleness. So you do get this discomforting sense that you're kind of exploiting these people and their desires for self-sacrifice and martyrdom. I shall lay my hands on you and give you a chance to die like Simon Cain died, if you agree, like he did, to give your blood to those in thirst. Was that really how Simon died? Yes, a drop of his blood is coursing through the veins of every person saved from the disease with a shot of the white vaccine. A good death. By what time do I have to have made up my mind? By tomorrow, Lara, as far as making up your mind goes. As for the dying, it will be when the time comes for your sacrifice. So do you agree? I agree. And you won't go back on your promise tomorrow? No. Don't you trust my word? I do, Lara. Farewell. So, still require 5 bound. So what are we thinking? Are we thinking the Sabarovs? We got any Sabarov apologists here who'd like to see the Sabarovs not do this? Or is it going to be a noble end for the Sabarovs? So if we... Bye-bye Sabarovs, alright. So if we go... 1, 2... Anna... Ruben... So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4... Bad Grief. That'll do. Talk to all these people, get to day 12, and we'll see how much time that leaves me with. Otherwise I might leave day 12 for a future stream, just so I don't have to feel like I'm cramming it all in at the end and we're rushing through stuff. But not that there should be very much to go through, but this quest is longer than I remembered it being. I'd forgotten you were sent round to literally everywhere. Knock knock, Sabarovs, it's me. Remember the daughter you abandoned? Would you like to apologize? Katarina.
It is as if my temples were pierced with needles.
Katerina, listen to me.
Something.
I am the harbinger of your death. You can choose what it will be like. Let me take a good look at you again, my dear girl. Yes, it's all happened as preordained, and not at all as I anticipated. Yet again, I have nothing to reproach fate for. All the signs are in place. A young mistress, my successor, how must I go? Would you like to die as a martyr and a champion of faith? Would you like to save thousands of lives instead of the thousands of lost lives you bear the blame for? Yes, I would. I shall lay my hands on you and give you a chance to die like Simon Cain died, if you agree like he did to give your blood to those in thirst. And I shall depart into the land of shadows not as a fiend fooled by a rat, but as a martyr who has paid for her sins with blood that can heal. I agree. It's a dignified death. Do what you must. It won't happen right now, but soon enough. Whatever you say, my dear girl. Do you agree? I do. When you become their ruler, be kind and fair. Stay true to yourself. Don't take the path Nina took. Work your miracles if you can, and don't yield to temptations. You won't go back on your promise tomorrow? Of course not, silly girl. Till tomorrow, then. Cheerio. Where we go again? Back round to the front of the house. What do you think the rat prophet will do once Katerina is dead? He'll probably just bug us.
Accept their sacrifice without a second thought. The black-hearted will happily surrender their lives to you.
Well, the black-hearted will happily surrender their lives to me, is that true? You can choose what your death will be like. Yes, everyone must pay their dues. It is fair you should be the one bringing the news. I have betrayed and renounced you. Yeah, why did you do that? Because I had seen you in a sign of my defeat. It was no coincidence that you came to our house, the girl that doomed our entire town. I made one last attempt to avoid that path. I struggled to be defiant. In vain. What's doomed is doomed, ashes to ash, ashes, dust to dust. No, only my duty as a ruler compelled me to act as I have. You may not believe it, but over these days I have grown to love you. I've always wanted us so badly to have a daughter, a young Mistress Sabirova. You deserve to die, and yet I shall give you a death that will end your path as a ruler with honour and allow you to fulfill your duty. Death will be a welcome way out for me. Your solution will be better than a bullet to the head, will it not? It will. I shall lay my hands on you and give you a chance to die like Simon died, if you agree like he did to give your blood to those in thirst. How will it happen? Every drop of your blood will be turned into a medicine that can save the town. You will have accomplished your mission as a ruler. Imagine your dad saying, I love you so much, and you say, you deserve to die, I'm going to turn your blood into medicine. It is the best death I could wish for, better than the most humane mercy. So you agree? I agree. And I am grateful to you. And you won't go back on your promise tomorrow? Of course. And now excuse me, Clara. I'd like to be alone. Farewell. Did I leave anything up here? I probably left the gun in here. No, just oil. Yeah. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Okay, down this way we go. So... yeah, how many left? 3, so Anna... bad grief. Who was the last one I was thinking of? Anna, bad grief, Reuben. Right, Reuben. I do find these conversations really quite affecting. They really are. They're very well written. And I think it makes sense for everything that we've seen. Sort of everything's coming to a head, really.
Yeah.
I can read my fate in your eyes. Listen to me, Anna. I am the harbinger of your death. You can choose what it will be like. I want my death to be painless. Can you make me die without suffering? Would you like to die a champion and a martyr? Would you like to save thousands of children's lives? Is that even possible? I shall lay my hands on you and give you a chance to die like Simon Cain died. If you agree like he did to give your blood to those in thirst. Are you going to take my blood? All of it, Anna. You will feel no pain, only joy. I believe you. Do you agree? If you promise that my name will be remembered kindly, let me be remembered as a singer. And you won't go back on your promise tomorrow? No, I won't. We'll all die, Anna. Rejoice, for I'm giving you the longest deferment. Okay. Reuben, here I come. And then I should sleep and finish, and I'm thinking there might be a bit of time, 2 hours or so later in the week where I can do day 12 at a leisurely pace and finish the game properly. Would be nice. Yeah, you're right. You're the one who's selling the crackers. No, there really is quite a melancholic end to the campaign, and I think it's a disheartening way to end it as well, because you do end up being attached to these people. I think it is unfair to say that the original Pathologic doesn't have good characters that you get attached to, because you do get attached to these characters and you do end up becoming quite fond of them. So it is difficult to do this and to justify the survival of a place over the people. It's a difficult decision to make. And the fact that you have to choose exactly who is being sacrificed gives it this extra weight.
Last legs. I can't take it anymore.
Now's a bad time. Listen to me, Stark. I'm the harbinger of your death. Well, that's fair. Simon's murderer deserves to die. I was going to wait for Maria to reach the zenith of her power. I'm curious what punishment the mistress would have chosen for me, but I suppose your idea will be more interesting still. There is, after all, a mystical power within you too. Would you like to die like Simon died? Would you like to emulate him? That would be most fair. Are you going to lay your hands on me? Yes. All right, just remember you have to work with healthy people. It's important. I'll gladly become your first volunteer. If you find others among your band, make sure they're in good health. And if they were sick and have been healed, some time must pass first. Why? The cells must renew themselves. It doesn't take long, though. Has the Inquisitor endorsed this solution? I've endorsed it, and that's what matters. Also make sure the Bachelor survives. He knows the secret of the vaccine, as well as Barak, the Haruspex, who knows how to work with the ingredients. Good. It's a wise course of action. If you succeed and save the town, it will be a genuine miracle. Will you stand by these words tomorrow? Of course. Any time it's necessary. Then I'll see you tomorrow, Stark. Can always count on Reuben. Last one. Bad grief. I'm gonna obviously leave Asperty alive. This is for selling the girl boss gun at an exorbitant rate. It's highway robbery. Listen to me. I'm the harbinger of your death. What it will be like is up to you. I've been expecting something like that. One can spot a mistress to be from a verst away. Do the speaking then. I'm all ears. Do you want to die a champion, a martyr, and a saviour to your people? Yes, mistress. That's exactly how I'd like to die. Like I ever could. I'm going to lay my hands on you and give you a chance to die as Simon Kane died. If you agreed to sate the thirsty with your blood like he did. Simon was a demigod. His blood. I've heard him stark about his blood. His was no blood of a human. There's blue blood, and then there's silver blood, eh? And that's what he was. I'll lay my hands on you, and your veins will be filled with golden and silver and blue blood. Cut yourself, and you'll see. With blood like that, cutting myself would be wasteful. So you agree? I do. Do I even have a choice, eh? Indeed, I'll even be grateful to you. And you won't renounce that tomorrow? I won't, mistress. You better not. Goodbye. This is the end. Aglaya commands me to leave the town at once. But why? What's wrong with my strategy? Is this because my plan answers the goals of the powers that be too well? What can I do now? But collapse at the feet of the commander and beg for protection. So we'll go do that and sleep until we hit day 12. No, and then he'll be done for the day, I think. But hopefully, just later this week, I really am hoping there'll be a time slot where I can jump in and finish it. So I'll add that to my schedule. Hopefully later today. And I'll make sure to post a reminder about that on Discord as well. If you want to watch the end, hopefully you can. Even if you can't, there's always the VOD, of course. But yeah, I Hope you've enjoyed this playthrough, however staggered it's been, however far it's taken you into retirement. It has been, yeah, a real pleasure getting to experience it in depth, properly, I think. Hydrate, thank you. Hey, but you're a different person back then. You'll have to go back and rewatch it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe when you do. I will, because I did. I just don't remember it. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it took me so long. I think I was putting pressure on myself. I was like, there's got to be enough time to do this playthrough justice, and I have literally no time, and I don't want to be too tired when I'm playing it. But I think I just realized, look, I should just get to it. What is he aiming at? It was a ploy to get more YouTube views. You found me out. It's like, what on earth did he do last time? I better rewatch the old video. Yeah. Hello.
My arms are stiff.
I found the 7 people. That quickly? Yes, I'm quick. You've just been here and said there were sinners in this town, 9 in total, who could sacrifice themselves for the cause of obtaining transformed blood. Sadly, you said some of them were already incurably ill. You even hinted that their disease had been a consequence of your visit. What? You named names. Rubin, Formanoy, and Sabarovs. I've heard about those. Then Anna, Yulia, Asperty, Lara, and Grief. Said some of them were ill now. But it wasn't me. My eyes weren't lying to me. It was you. You described the way you could transform their blood so it could be used to create a vaccine. You left and then came back a quarter of a minute later. No, it was her again, my abhorrent doppelganger. It was she who infected my bound. Tomorrow you'll have time to bring them back to life. It's the only hope I have left. Preparations are complete. Tomorrow the miracle may come to pass. I would be happy beyond measure were it not for this awkward premonition that freezes my heart still. I can perform miracles. Just let me. Okay, so we'll go to Yulia's and sleep. And then I'll finish for the day. And be back later this week, hopefully, to finish Pathologic. And then hopefully decide what to play after that. Maybe blitz through the story of Yakuza as well, because I'm getting close. That started over a year ago as well, that playthrough. So I was a different person every time I played it. Here we go. I always wish you could go to the second floor of Yulia's house. I've always been quite intrigued by the fact there is no stairway to the top of the house. Can I do Torfine? Sleep. Day 12. Alright.
The day is over. Your timely efforts allowed your supporters to remain unharmed. A new mime performance is being rehearsed at the theatre.
Cool, so you can see here now the blood from the polyhedron from this. The dream is either stemming from the town or feeding into the town. It is the person that feeds the town, basically. So everything is free and clear all of a sudden. What we're going to do is watch the play, and we will end it there. And yeah, everything... I remember it's just such a revelatory moment, I think, when you realise the town has ceased to be infected on day 12 and everyone is just hunkering inside. It really does feel like the end. It feels very final, which I do quite like. total sense of everything now depends on you and the decisions that you're going to make. The final choice that will determine what happens to the town. Last theatre of the playthrough. Make it a good one, Mark.
Whatever you do, you'll have to sacrifice something.
Destruction is inevitable. There's no miraculous way out.
So that's what their thought process is, see? There was nothing to hope for from the start. Each of them should simply fulfill their purpose. At least, we'll see which one works best.
Each of them wants to save that which is dear to them. Perhaps they could get along.
Now to the question. The meeting chamber is tight, with the general sitting at one side of the table and the Inquisitor sitting at the other. Only one of them will decide. The others will die.
Cool. Time for the final decision. Where will the spotlight rest? And yeah, what will the powers that be have to say about it? Right. We'll finish here for today. Hopefully in just a couple of days' time I'll be back and we'll be able to finish Changeling. And I could technically finish it today, but I'd be really rushing it, which wouldn't be fair to the playthrough, I don't think, or the game. So next time we'll have a bit more time to talk about stuff, what's going on. But I hope you enjoyed today's stream. It was really nice to be able to stream for as long as I have today. So I will hopefully see everyone later on. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.